Boog Sciambi, Cubs broadcaster, ESPN national broadcaster. Boog, what's going on, dude? How are you?
What's up, you guys?
I just
love this. This is a good group right here.
Boog, I just got to say that I was so disappointed in you last night. Before we even get into it, I was just so disappointed in you last night. As knowing the history of the game, the way you know the game,
Yes.
to go off on your rant about a fucking video montage, like you're better than that, Boog. You're my guy, man. I see you all the time. You're on your ESPN radio days. Like, gosh, dang it, man. And then I heard it was you, and I was like, not Boog. If it would have been Frenchie, I would have been like, okay. But, gosh, Boog. I'm like, damn him. Now I got to say bad things about this guy to his face.
I think calling it a rant would be like a little. And then I would also say, like, it's funny how people have reacted on this one. Like, let me start with this. Of this whole group, like, I've been doing this for 25 years. If anybody is trying to frame me and JD as the get off my lawn Muppet judges, like, beat it. Because that's not what my vibe is. I am take your shirt off on the field guy. Like, they open the mic, and so I get to say my opinion. Like, and last night, 5-5 in the 10th, game 158, yeah. I mean, he probably could have waited to take the base after the game, and they probably could have waited to play the highlight montage till afterwards. That was my thought. Like, do I care today? No.
That's why I love you. That's why I love. See, that's why I love you. I know, because you're
Like,
Mr. Analytics too.
Did not wake up this morning. I don't give a crap. It's a season. I don't know what to tell you. But like, if you're asking me, like, are we stopping the game in the 10th inning when the Cubs like are playing games that matter? Like, if it had been 7-0 in the 5th, yeah, I probably could have gotten down with a little highlight montage. 5-5 in the 10th, nah. I just, like, you're at, like, my mic's open. I get to say my opinion, so that's my opinion. Do I care? Not really. Guy's had an amazing year. He's probably going to win the MVP. I'm good with it winning the MVP. That's what I got.
Should it have been a pitch clock violation since we're sticking with all the rules?
Yes, it should have.
So, hey, you're going to see it in the playoffs now. I'm just saying, we set a precedent. If you see it in the playoffs, some guy steals and you know the hitter needs, it's a 2-strike count. The batter's just going to pull up the base and go,
and play the montage.
First stolen base.
Play the montage.
Yeah.
Tonight, I think we're going to do is I'm going to, like, there's a part of me, I hope the Cubs win tonight, and I hope he steals a bag, and we will run the highlight of that from 6 different angles and celebrate him being in the 40-71 club.
Homer, you're such a homer. Such a Cubs homer now, Boog.
I'll tell you one other thing.
So,
no.
Hold on, Boog, before you go. What if you flipped it? What if it was Cody Bellinger just went 40-70, and you were playing at Wrigley, and the Braves were fighting for it, and Cody Bellinger went, I am Ricky Henderson, the greatest of all time.
All right, so White Sox guy, I'm sorry to get snobby on you, but like at our park, they don't play make noise on the scoreboard. They wouldn't run a highlight montage.
You don't have a video screen.
I mean, they wouldn't do it. Wouldn't do it.
Okay. Oh, fair. That's fair. You're still a homer, but I love you.
I mean, me as a homer is another. I mean, like, me as a homer?
What do you got? Before AJ rudely interrupted you.
Yes. I don't know what I was saying.
Yeah, you had something. You were ready to roll. Hey, we heard your Twitter got hacked too as well. So
my Twitter got hacked.
Is that
and then
real?
I just kind of, I sort of It's been like 2.5 weeks, and I just sort of parachuted out. And I had another, so like I can kind of observe and evaluate on Twitter. But yeah, I didn't get back in there. I don't know. I don't know whether it was Russian bots or somebody. I don't know what happened.
It was probably AJ that did it. He got all these burner accounts.
I think it was Ronald Acuña Jr.
Yes. Yes.
He steals
It was
everything.
the Braves Panavision.
What's in better shape, your stolen Twitter or Tito's stolen scooter?
Oh man, I gotta tell you, like, I love Terry Francona. He's one of my all-time favorite dudes. I got to know him over the years from covering him as a manager, Phillies, Red Sox, Indians, Guardians, but like I got to work with him one year at ESPN, and he was such a delight. And I'll tell you this, guys. I did the playoffs last year for ESPN TV, and he actually was asked a question, why do you think you're good at this? And he gave an answer that I think actually does sum up in a large part, and like to the former players, I think you guys would get down with this. I think he really summed up what makes him so good. When asked, he said, because I would prefer the media to think that I don't know what I'm doing compared to throwing a player under the bus. That's what makes him good. Is that in terms of building the culture, he's fine with the people asking the questions thinking, wow, he's a moron. He is not fine with throwing the players under the bus. And that's why I think year in and year out, he was able to cultivate great culture.
Okay. Yeah. Listen, as a player, you respect that. Because I play with managers that don't do it and managers that do it. And the ones that don't do it, obviously, usually seem to last the longest because the players will have their back. But that's a whole different thing. But so let's get back. Speaking of, things that are happening, are the Cubs going to make it? I mean, they are leaking oil like, oof.
I mean, it's rough. So again, you're looking at that right there, and the Cubs don't have the tiebreaker against anyone. And so with that right there, Miami's in, the Cubs are not. Here's what I would say. If you made me guess, I think that if the Cubs go 4-0, I think that they'll get in. Anything other than that, I think it gets dicey. That's my guess. So like the Marlins could go 4-0 and then the Cubs aren't in, but if the Cubs go 4-0, I think that they get in, but it is so hard for them right now securing the final 3, 6, 9 outs of the game just because Alzolay on the shelf, Fulmer on the shelf, Leiter, who's been so good this year, hadn't pitched in a week before last night, and Merriweather is a guy who's kind of on fumes, so it's really been challenging.
Did we ever find out what was wrong? Didn't Leiter go a whole week without? Did we ever figure out what was wrong with him?
I mean, it's just barking.
Just barking, just general soreness.
At the top.
I mean, what I would say, the one thing to Leiter, in Leiter's defense, is he's never done this. He's been a starter his entire career. So to ask him to go 65 times, 65 one-inning appearances with a back-to-back, he's never, ever done it. He had Tommy John in, I want to say, 20, and he's been used as a starter for the most part. So I would just say, even though he's 32, he's never been asked to do this. And I think it's probably something that we don't talk about enough, how relievers get abused. And I'm not like, and I don't mean that in active, I mean, just like, holy cow, like, how do you do that every day? How do you throw 70 times and pitch 3-4 straight days in a row? I don't know how they do it.
It's less the abuse, more the whatever, discard you, see you later. We'll just get the next guy.
That's right.
That's on them, the pitchers. But my thing is, you guys are set it up right now. I say you guys, the mouse in your pocket, the Cubs, no tiebreaker. Yeah. Would you rather see the game 163? Obviously, it's coming down right now. Or are you fine with how the tiebreaker situation is set up now?
I'm fine with it. I would say, look, for the sport, as much as this is not a game, it's the marathon, not a sprint. People dig 163. Anytime you're playing a single elimination game, people are going to watch. So I would say that from a fairness standpoint, I'm okay with it because it's head to head. I will tell you that the nerd in me looks at the run differential between the Cubs and the Marlins. Like, the Cubs have 156 27 run advantage in run differential, and these teams are tied, which is incredible to me.
Yep.
But I would say from a fairness standpoint, I'm okay with it. I would say from a game standpoint, yeah, we would be better off if they played 163. That gets more attention for the sport, and people like a single elimination playoff game.
Agreed.
Okay, so two-parter here, Boog. First off, let's say they do find a way into the postseason. They win out,
Yep.
and the Marlins lose one more game, something like that. Okay. Do you think that this team could suddenly turn it around and like have a decent postseason performance? Like, hey, we talked a lot of shit, I'm saying as an industry, about the Rangers a few weeks ago, and then their bats come back and everyone's like, oh, the Rangers are good again. It's all good. Like, could you see that with the Cubs? And on the other end of the spectrum, if the Cubs miss out, was it worth it? Like, I know they didn't have to give up a ton. They picked up Candelario, but they could have been the team that trades Bellinger, that maybe before the injury traded Stroman, and really loaded up for next year. I'm like 99% of the time, like all for ownership, go for stuff. Like I hate the tanking, all of that. This was the one team where I was like, I don't think this is a World Series winning team. So I would think about it in a market where there's not much else asset wise. And Cubs fans ripped me like, we'll see you in the postseason.
Good questions. So I would say as far as can they make a run, I think the bullpen component, unless Alzolay comes back and was to feel great, and some of the other guys, like I think that's where they really have a problem. So I think it would be hard. They've got a good lineup. When they spent most of the year, at least in the second half. Right now they're third in the National League in runs per game. I mean, only the Dodgers and the Braves have scored more frequently, and that's the two things that they have going for them is length of lineup, and then they really catch the ball. I mean, when Swanson and Horner are your middle guys, it's probably as good a middle infield defense as there is. Bellinger's still excellent at first and good in center. So they catch it. I think Steele could be quite good. I think Stroh could probably be good, but I worry about the bullpen. So I think, could they win the first round? Probably. Could they win a division series? Be harder. But again, best of 3, best of 5. Yeah, they could do that. I think your question about was it worth it? I go round and round. I was really interested in seeing them do whatever it took to put themselves in a position to win the most games next year, just because they have so much good young talent. They have money. But I think there's something to be said for pushing towards winning and creating winning culture. So I don't know what they could have gotten for Bellinger and Stroh. It probably would have been pretty good. So I think in the end, I'm okay with how it played out, but I don't know that my argument is that strong for it, if that makes sense. So, like, I think what you said in that spot, because they weren't a World Series winning, like, I think your argument's better, but I think I would say I'm fine with the way this has played out. It's been fun.
Boog, let me ask you this. Say they do make the playoffs. Give me the hitter that they're going to be leaning on, and give me the pitcher that they're going to have to be leaning on in the playoffs here.
I'll take the second one first. It's Justin Steele, right? So that he's got a shove, and he's a bit of a unicorn. He throws 2 pitches. He's a 4-seam slider guy, but there's something about, and this is something, with 2 right-handed hitters here, this is something the righties don't like. I think teams should think about playing lefties against him, but he basically throws his 4-seamers a 92-mile-an-hour cutter, and it's just really hard to ID the pitch, and so he's always coming in, and then it's in and down. So he's the guy I think you have to lean on. It's easy to say Bellinger, but I think it's got to be Belly. He's their guy. It's amazing the way he's cut his strikeout rate from 27% to about 15%. His 2-strike hitting, his hitting against lefties. So it's got to be Belly, Frage.
Nice.
Boog. All right, real quick. This can be a 1-word answer for me. Are the Cubs going to sign Shohei?
No.
Okay, thank you.
No, I keep making the joke that they have that sports book that they should name it the Shohei Ohtani sports book and then just sort it out from there.
They're perfect. Great thinking.
Cubs are not signing Shohei Ohtani. And
Okay.
and like, definitely no is what I would say.
Okay, and then my other question is, you're doing the playoffs for ESPN Radio?
I will do the first round for ESPN TV, and then I get to call Division Series, LCS, and World Series for ESPN Radio.
Do you know who your matchups are yet? Or guessing?
I will either have for television, I will have either at Milwaukee or at Philadelphia, and I will in the Division Series be at Atlanta to start.
Okay, perfect. All right. You
yeah,
can watch a montage of yourself in Atlanta.
Absolutely, believe it. That's what
Jesus
when
Christ.
I'm having bad games, I just sit there and go over good play-by-play calls and just sit there and just play that. I don't break down the other guys. I just sit there and do the dig me. Like they did a bottle opener of me, Alex Gonzalez walk-off homer, 2003. Shout out Bed Bath & Beyond, RIP. But like, you sell it there, and I'm just saying. So like I'll just listen to that over and over, and it gets me pumped up, and then I turn into one of the Muppet judges, and I rant on video montages in the 10th inning.
So last thing here, Mike Monaco and I, we're doing the radio in Tampa, so we'll warm it up for you. So we'll get
Love
ready
it.
to rock.
Monaco is awesome, by the way. That's
he's a
talented cat and
beast.
a good dude.
Him and I at the Little League World Series, bro. He makes it so much easier for me. He's awesome. But hey, I want to wrap this up. Are you still raising money for ALS? You still getting after it each year? I mean, how many years have you been doing it? Talk to us about that a little bit.
You guys are awesome. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in New York City on Roosevelt Island. When I moved there, another kid who was 7 years old named Tim Sheehy, I met. We grew up. He played soccer at the University of South Carolina. He was diagnosed with ALS in 2005. Lost his battle in 2007, and we started together a charity called Project Main Street. So it's Project Main, and then it's st.org. Every dollar we raise goes to someone living with the disease because patient care is so underfunded. So we just lost Chris Snow is a guy who was an assistant GM with the Calgary Flames, just lost his battle with ALS. And it's unbelievable to me that in today's world that we still have an incurable disease. But my hope is someday our charity won't exist. But for now, we got to help people with their expenses and care, and that's what we do. So Project Main Street, since 2006 actually is when we started it, and we keep doing it. June 2nd is Lou Gehrig Day every year. I appreciate you guys letting me mention that.
Of
That's
course,
awesome.
that and we'll post about it obviously too. Attached to this clip. So we'll give everyone more info that's following along. Boog, thank you. Enjoy the last few days.
Hey, real quick.
Yes.
Sorry, real quick. You're doing the 24 of the show, MLB the show.
I am.
Hey.
Could you guys do me a favor? This is what I need. I'm doing MLB the show. Would you give me like stuff that I need to get into the game? Just text me stuff that's funny to get into the game.
Kratz, and Frazier. It's
This
easy.
is what I'm trying to tell you. My son, his name is Ethan Kratz. He puts in his exact name. I played in the big leagues. Every time he hits, you announce him, and it goes, now batting, Ethan Katz. You're not even saying my son's name right. Every single time he plays the game.
That's
I'm
not
like,
his
turn
fault.
the volume
That's
down.
not his fault.
Ethan Katz is the pitching coach with the Twins.
White Sox. Get it right. Come on, know your White Sox.
It's the White Sox. And I'm not programming the game. I'm not the coder, Kratzy. You know
Figure
what I mean?
it out.
So I'm just a beautiful voice.
It is a beautiful voice.
That's all I am.
I want Pete Alonso poop homer in there.
Yes.
we'll text you. We'll text you some shit, pun intended. Boog, thank you, dude. Shane Bieber's patiently waiting for us. But
thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. It was awesome.